They're yours. Hit that one more time. I am the number one determinant of the success or failure. Here we go. Of my students. Hey, y'all, you have a strong summer. Kick some butt next year. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. That's the mindset. That's the attitude. Love you guys.
And we are live. Good morning. Greetings. Come on in, come on through. It's week 86 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. Come on in. Who we got in the academy this morning? Let me scroll back. We got Demetrius Scott's in the building. I think he's been here for all 86. We got Donna Sherritt-Gant. Man, she's been pumping out them shares, and I appreciate you immensely. Golfar, I haven't seen you in a minute. WT is in the building. KB, Michael Benton, John Hurix, they're all in the building. We got Nicolette Lesniak. Ohio Girl Jones is in the building. Kimberly Carruthers, who's got that promotion, got that AP position. So clap it up for Kimberly Carruthers. She's been with us for a long time, man. Let her know. We got Principal Ryan in the building. Lily Lanier, Angeles Tarango Rosales, Stacy L. Joy, Melissa Jones Chunu, Kimberly Sharo Trim, Darnell McElvin, Rhonda Russell Henderson, Lavelle Johnson, Corrine Aura Bell Warren. Hit the share button as you come in. Hit the retweet button as you come in. Let them know we are here. Grace Castaneda, Janine Wilkins. I never say the middle part. Separano Wilkins is in the building all the way from Alaska. Donna Scherer, I said, Tony McClenny, Evelyn Giammaticus, hope I got that right, Stephen Hunter, Rodney Richardson, Thomasine, Star Hamilton's in the building, Priscilla Dunson Lee came on over from Sean Hurt, and now here with the virtual AP Leadership Academy. We got Anne-Marie Tarachi, AP in Maryland, good to see you. Lakeisha Mabry, Solomon Bouzway, I think it is, Jr. My man Lou Saunders in the building. Dr. Melissa Chester, Nolan Chester, the president of Black Educators Rock. Again, Dr. Melissa Chester, president, CEO, Black Educators Rock. If you're not familiar with Black Educators Rock, get on over there after this session. BER, just put in the Facebook search engine, BER. It's about 150,000 members strong, and we do a conference as well. I don't know if we're going to do one mid-year or not, but we certainly do them in the summertime. So stay tuned and stay connected. We got Venice Lewis in the building, Jerica Roberts in the building, Monique Higgins is in the building, Charlena Hottie, Gerard Phillips. What we got here? We got my man here, champion principal out there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in the building. Jennifer Desmond's in the building. My wife, the queen, Kimberly Broughton Kafele, is in the building. Robin Kennedy, Shanita Ross, they're all here. Chip Taylor. Where we at here? Where we at? D. Tris is in the building. Nathaniel Chapman, Pierre B.C. Boondu, KB, Tiffany Blunt, Andrea Watts, they're all in the building. Crystal Nolan Brandon in the building. It's almost that time, folks. Lysandra Brackens, Rodney Williams, Birmingham, Donald Thompson, they're all here. You're in the building. My man Rashad Davis is in the building. There's Sheikah Houston in the building. Man, it's about that time, y'all. Hit that share button, hit that retweet button. Let them know it's that time, week number 86. So let me say to each of you formally now, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 86 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. And I don't know about you. I think I know. I say that every week because you're here, but I can only speak for me definitively. So if I can just speak for me definitively for a hot second, I just want you to know how I'm feeling this morning. I'm on fire. Gotta let you know that, man, because it's part of leadership. And I never want folks to be confused between being on fire and charisma, right? They're not synonymous, right? So I don't want people, oh, I got to be charismatic. No. I'm just saying that you got to bring the right level of energy, the right level of excitement, the right level of enthusiasm, the right level of fire to the work. Because if you don't have fire, if you don't have energy, excitement, and enthusiasm, why and how would you expect your building to have it? So all that energy starts with the top. It starts at the top with the leadership. So for that reason, I repeat myself, I'm on fire. Woo! That's how I'm feeling, y'all. I hope I woke up the whole block, right? That's how I'm feeling. So let me get to my quick motivational message, and then we're going to jump into it. My message this morning is who's in your circle? Once again, who's in your circle? We hear it all the time. We talk about it all the time. We read about it all the time, that sometimes everybody can't come for the full journey with you. I'm here in Jersey. So you got the New Jersey Turnpike. It's nationally known. People like Jay Leno made jokes about it like all the time. So everyone knows the New Jersey Turnpike. So the Turnpike, it goes from like exit 18, the George Washington Bridge, 18W, all the way to exit 1 when you enter in Delaware, right? So I'm in North Jersey, so we start, up in the higher numbers. So with me, like exit 15 in Jersey City. So, some people might be able to ride with me up to like exit 11, exit 10, exit 9, but you might not be able to make the full journey to exit 1, right? Some people are just meant to be with us through a few exits, right? A few seasons or a season, but maybe not the lifelong journey. So I might have to stop and, we having conversation and I realize this ain't working. Yo, I'll call you up a car, but you can't make this full ride with me, right? I'll just pull up to the rest area. You get out here and let me keep going. So I'm saying that to say to you, you got to check your circle, man. Some of you out there, you got the wrong people in your circle. They may have been good for a particular season, but they're not good for the long haul, or they're not good for all the seasons repeating themselves. At some point, you got to be bold enough to say, this person is a liability, man. This person's not helping me to grow. This person doesn't make me feel happy. This person doesn't make me feel optimistic. It's just that we got a long-term relationship, but that's okay. Sometimes we got to snip it, man. You got to snip it. And I'm not encouraging you to leave your friends. Don't get me wrong. But I'm talking about your circle, those people that got your back, who are there for you. And if they're your circle and they don't have your back, then they may not deserve to be in the circle. Maybe they could be somewhere outside of the perimeter, outside of the periphery, but not in the circle. But then who's in the circle? See, that's got to be your dogs, man. I'm using slang. That's your dog, man. That's the one. They're going to fight for you. They're going to fight with you. They're going to support you. They're going to lift you, but they're going to check you when you're making bad decisions. And that's important. If everybody's yes, then we all fail together. because there's no counterbalance. There's no one to say, yo, like, that's not a good decision. That's not a good move you made, because they all, yes, yes, love you, praise you. That's not who you want in the circle. You want the one with the audacity to say, yo, let me holler at you. What you said, what you did, that wasn't cool. That wasn't the right move. That's who you need in your circle. If you got someone in there that's grandstanding, that's not the one you need. You got someone in there that's whispering to other people about what you talk about, your private conversation. That's not who you need. So I'm saying all that to say, who is in your circle? Check your circle and make sure your circle is an asset to what it is you're trying to do and become as a leader. Enough said. Hey, folks, let's go. Quick announcements. Number one, the most important, continued thoughts and prayers to the victims of all those Midwest tornadoes out there, right? Continued thoughts, continued prayers. I'm willing to bet that there's somebody that was victimized by those tornadoes that came on this broadcast. I'm sure they'll be back, right? But I mean, we're talking several states, like 9 states, right? So thoughts and prayers continue. You know, even though it's not in the news as frequently as it was, I want to keep it in this news, right? Because we're talking about real people, right? So that's that. Moving on, the ASCD Virtual Leadership Summit is January 18th through 20th. Write this down. The virtual ASCD Leadership Summit, January 18th through 20. I am the opening keynote speaker. It's virtual. It was supposed to be live, but it was going to be in Florida, but we're in a pandemic world, so it's virtual. I'll be sitting right here. It's live, no recorded messages. They asked me, you want to do a recorded? I said, nope. Right? If it ain't live, I ain't live. Right? So live, I'll be doing it January 18. Go to ascd.org and register, and I'll see you then. Next Saturday is Christmas. Guess who will be sitting on this computer, on this camera, next Saturday at Christmas while the families opening gifts or whatever they're going to be doing at 11 o'clock? I'm going to be on here, man. Because, see, next Saturday is the last Saturday of the year, and I can't not do this. I know that didn't sound right, but don't worry about it. I'm going to even say it again. I can't not do this. The last Saturday of the month, even if I'm the only one on here and the view count says 0, I'm still going to do it. And I'm going to do it with the same passion, the same energy. And then those of you that you know, I ain't watching him on Christmas Day. Come on now. I'm going to be with my family. That's all right. You can watch the video later on, right? But I'm going to be on here, right? Christmas Day. Then on New Year's Day, I'm going to still be on here, right? Because that's the first Saturday of the year. So you know I'm coming on. So those of you that can't make it, I understand. But if you can make it, but I won't go an hour. I'm going to do like 30 minutes. Right. So come on and join me if you can on Christmas. That will, my wife said, gifts. That is the gift, man. Oh no, she talking about the gifts here. Yeah, we like it's nothing festive in here right now. No tree, no gifts. We do have lights. My wife has lights up. So we got that. Right. So you know, we'll figure it out. So here we go. Then watch this, y'all. I'm getting ready to bring my guest up on Wednesday, that Christmas week, which is called Kwanzaa, right? So on December 29, on that Wednesday, another one of my guys, Dr. Chika Akua, we're going to do a special broadcast. It's not falling under Virtual AP Leadership Academy, but we're doing a special broadcast called The 7 Principles of Kwanzaa. No, let me change that. The correlation between the 7 Principles of Kwanzaa and Black student achievement. Let me say that again. The correlation between the 7 Principles of Kwanzaa, known as the Nguzo Saba, and Black student achievement. We're going to do that on Wednesday morning, which is Ujamaa, the 4th day of Kwanzaa, at 11 o'clock. That's not falling under this platform, Virtual AP Leadership Academy. This is just a special broadcast. He and we just going to have a conversation talking about the correlation between the 7 Principles of Kwanzaa and Black student achievement. You don't want to miss that. Tell everybody. 11 o'clock right here on December the 29th, the 4th day of Kwanzaa. First timers in here, welcome to you. Watch all the previous broadcasts on my virtual AP Leadership Academy YouTube channel. There's 85 on there. Today makes 86. And don't forget to like and follow the virtual AP Leadership Academy Facebook page, which is where I write my Sunday morning commentary. And I want you to make sure you read that. Got to make sure these are the two books that really coincide with the Academy: the Equity and Social Justice Education 50 and the Assistant Principal 50. Get them as a gift to somebody, right? Check out the Facebook page I wrote where I was holding all my books. Get them as a gift for somebody. The best gift you could give somebody, really, particularly an educator, is a book, right? So get them the book, man. Go to Amazon and check out all the books I wrote, and get them something, man. Get them something. All right. I'm done. I'm rocking my Baltimore Black socks. Last week it was Baltimore Elite Giants. They got the letters down low, but these are authentic. That's the way they wore it. Baltimore Black socks. This is the first jersey I wore on the first virtual AP Leadership Academy. The very first one. This is what I wore, right? So I'm ready. Let's go to our guests, man. I got a big time guest here today. Let me get him up here, man. I got the man here, y'all. That's what you tuned in for. I just had to get these announcements out the way. I got former principal. I'm the type of person, once you principal, you always principal, right? So I call everybody principal, right? Some people ain't been a principal 20 years, but I still call them principal. So this is Principal Dwight Carter out of Columbus, Ohio, who's joining us today. And let me first and foremost say to Dwight, good morning, sir. Good to see you. Glad to have you here.
Good morning, Principal Kafele. It's good to be seen. I appreciate you, man. Like I said, we've been down for quite some time. So I appreciate being on your platform, being on the show. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, sir. Hey, folks, hit the share button for me. Hit the retweet. Hit them Facebook groups. Hit them all up. Let them know we're here. I got to read this bio because it's just a lot here in terms of the accomplishments. So let me just read it quickly because I want you to know who you're listening to. Dwight Carter is an educational leader, speaker, presenter, and coach from Central Ohio. His purpose is to positively change lives and impact futures. He believes reflection is the heart of our practice and encourages principals, teachers, and students to focus on personal skill development to create optimal learning conditions. When he was a high school principal, he was inducted into, now watch this, the Jostens Renaissance Educator Hall of Fame in 2010. Because of collaborative and innovative leadership, he was named the 2013 National Association of Secondary School Principals Digital Principal of the Year. So I probably got to get him back to talk about the digital component of his leadership as it relates to what you all do and what you all aspire to do. The 2014 Academy of Arts and Science Education High School Principal of the Year, and the 2015 Ohio Alliance of Black School Educators Principal of the Year. He's also a 2021 Columbus Afrocentric Early College Sankofa Emerging Leader Award winner. Woo! That's a lot in and of itself. Let me keep moving. During his tenure as principal, he was also a digital leadership and learning coach for the International Center for Leadership in Education. He delivered keynote addresses and coached educators to explore new ways to increase rigor, relevance, and student engagement. As a matter of fact, I need to make a quick adjustment to my screen because I need his information up here. There you go. Check the bottom of the screen in terms of how to get in touch with Dwight. Feel free to go to his Twitter page now. It'll come right back up in a second, and tweet him as we have this conversation. After spending 24 years as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, and principal, he became a leadership and effectiveness coach by joining Dynamics partners with school districts to help them do things better and faster by using processes that work. He returned to public education in 2019 as a part of the Eastland Fairbank Career and Technical School District, where he served as an assistant director of Eastland Career Center. He was promoted to the district executive leadership team in 2021 as the director of student support systems and is responsible for creating systems to remove barriers to student growth. Now, check this out. I'm almost done. As director of student support systems, he oversees special education, DEI, PBIS, MTSS, multi-tier systems of support, SEL, and all things climate and culture. That's a whole lot, and that's why you want to be connected to someone like Dwight, Principal Carter. He continues to speak and present to districts and organizations about responding to hyper change, personal skill development, and student staff engagement. And then finally, he is the author of 3 books. What's in Your Space, subtitled 5 Steps to Better School and Classroom Design. Corwin 2015 was the publisher, Corwin Press. And 2 editions, Leading Schools in Disruptive Times, How to Survive Hyper Change, Corwin 2017, and is a contributing author of Because of a Teacher, subtitled Stories from the Past to Inspire the Future of Education, written and curated by George Kuros. I Am Press 2021. And I might add, he doesn't have it in here, but because I'm going to reference it several times, his forthcoming book, I guess we'll say tentatively titled Be Great, or maybe that is actually entitled Be Great, but the subtitle they're working on, but Be Great, which is, if you ever email Dwight Carter, it always will close with Be Great, right? So that's who he is. That's what it is. And Principal Carter, welcome to the Virtual AP Leadership Academy. Let's jump right into it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, Dwight, as an educator, and I got these 5 quick questions that I kind of ask everybody before I get into the specifics to you. As an educator, who is Dwight Carter?
Great question again, man. I appreciate you having me on the platform. I've been a huge fan of yours, admire your work, your inspiration, your motivation, your messages, but also just the energy you bring every single time that I see you, talk to you in person, virtual. It doesn't matter. Kafele brings that same energy. So, I appreciate your authenticity.
I appreciate it.
So, who am I as an educator? I think it goes back to, what my purpose is, which is to positively change lives and impact futures. So through a lot of processing, a lot of thinking, a lot of reflection, me as an educator is the one thing that I do, and I do extremely well, that I thoroughly enjoy the most, is teaching. And so and that has nothing to do with any position that I hold or anybody else, because teaching could be done in a virtual platform. It could be done face-to-face. It could be done one-on-one. It doesn't matter. Underlying that is I'm a learner. So because I'm a learner, I enjoy teaching. And because I want to teach, I have to continue to learn. So that, in a nutshell, that's me as an educator. Foundational, though, is all about those relationships. I have a natural knack for establishing rapport with students just by getting to know them, making sure they feel like there's a sense of belonging, that I can be somebody they can lean on, trust on, but also I'm going to hold them accountable. And it doesn't matter who the kid is. That's just been a part of my consistent behavior as an educator, regardless of the position, regardless of the district, regardless of the year. It's been those relationships. And so that transforms into wanting to be a leader. So that's me in a nutshell as an educator.
I love it. And, we use that word relationship so often, but it never plays out. It's always relevant. The relationships we have with young people, the relationships we have with one another as educators, relationships we forge with the community and parents, they matter. So even though we hear the word so much, it can never be exhausted because it's so significant. With that, think about you coming into the education space. Why did you enter, and what continues to drive your passion?
Wow. I think I settled on, not even settled. I knew I was going to be an educator probably later middle school. And here's why. I started really thinking about what I wanted to do in my career, because in my household, I grew up in a single family or a single parent household. My mom, she was always driving education. for a number of reasons that I don't want to get into. But I had a young mom growing up. It was I had an older sister who's 2 years older, and I have a twin brother. So it was three kids with a 17-year-old mom. So education was a driving factor in our home. We never talked about what that's going to look like, but my mom put in place habits and behaviors that allowed us to be successful in school. Whether we did it or not, that was on us, but she set up the systems. And so I started really thinking about career, what I wanted to do. And I recognized that going back to my early childhood, people would typically come to me, my friends, for advice or direction or whatnot. And it just was natural. But I think that goes back to how people perceived me. They perceived me as somebody who was smart and quiet because I had real big glasses and I was quiet. So that self-fulfilled prophecy sort of played itself out in my career choice. And then educators, like I remember my 6th grade phys ed teacher, Mr. West. He gave me the sportsmanship award at the end of the year. And I had no idea he even really knew me that way. But he recognized that I had something else in me and wanted to, and that I was good with other people and I was collaborative and whatnot. My middle school librarian, Miss Anderson, same thing. So it was just a number of people. And then when I got to high school, I settled on, okay, I either want to go into business, an accountant, took an accounting class. Nah, was not for me. And then education. And the only reason I thought about accounting is because I was thinking about the money. I wanted to be successful financially.
Yeah.
When I really thought about what I wanted to do as an educator, it went back to teaching and learning. I enjoyed those two things immensely. So then I just jumped into it. And like I said, when I graduated from high school, my first classes in college were education classes because I already knew what I wanted to do.
Wow.
What I had to then decide is what subject do I want to teach and do I want to do elementary or secondary? So secondary just became natural just because it just felt like I had a better rapport, could establish a better rapport. And I can also be an effective sports coach as a secondary. So, and again, that goes back to teaching and learning.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So here you spent time teaching in the classroom as a teacher.
Yeah.
But then at some point you decided to become a principal. And there's a lot of reasons that an individual may become a principal. You know, you could probably just write a laundry list as to why I wanted to lead. And I'm talking to the audience as well. Like I'm asking you through Dwight, why do you want to lead, or why do you lead? So with Dwight, I'm asking the question of all the reasons that one may want to lead, was there that one that kind of drove the rest of them that you said, but this is why I really want to get in here as a school leader?
Yeah, it was more so other people showing belief in me as a leader. I want to say that again. My decision to become a principal was mainly based on other people's belief in me that I can do it. So sometimes we don't see what's in us. We need other people that we trust, believe in, and are willing to follow to say, hey, have you ever considered becoming a leader? Going into education, I never even dreamt of becoming a principal. In fact, I used to call the principalship the dark side. Administration was the dark side.
Yeah.
A part of that was due to training. A part of that was due to experiences and things that you hear growing up as a young teacher. But then it was like people such as Dr. Keith Bell. Keith Bell was an assistant principal at Gahanna Lincoln High School when I became a teacher when I got hired there. And immediately he took me under his wing and he would just talk to me about leadership and teaching and relationships, and he just invested in me. And then there was we got a new principal named Sherry Dunlap. Sherry Dunlap came to me and tapped me and says, hey, Dwight, I want you to go to a critical friends group training to be a critical friends group facilitator. I had no idea what that was. And in my generation, when your boss, when your leader, when your principal asks you to do something, that's not a question. That's a directive. So it wasn't a question, do I want to do it or not? It was like, cool, sign me up. When do we start? And it was at that moment, that was the pivotal moment when I said, I can do this, because she taught me how to be an instructional leader with my peers. So it was myself, and we had a group of 6 or 7 of us. And I was learning all these processes and protocols that later became useful when I became an assistant principal and principal. And we were visiting each other's classrooms. We were providing effective feedback. We were talking about our areas of strength. We were recognizing blind spots. We were doing a lot of reading together and studying, and just we're really growing together as a team. And I was just like, wow, this is what the principal leadership could be. So if I'm able to do this successfully with a group of 6 or 7 people, I had started asking, I wonder what it would look like as a principal.
Yeah.
And then got my master's. And then the next pivotal step was I was introduced to a new principal who took over for Sherry. His name was Mark White. Mark White, I would say, has probably had the greatest influence on me professionally since we became great friends and colleagues. He immediately when he joined, we introduced ourselves to each other, and he scooped me up again, and he would train me in a way that I didn't know I was even being trained. So as a teacher, he would come to my room. I'll go to his office. He would come to my room. He's like, "Hey, how would you handle this situation? Like real life situations happening." He would just pick my brain. Then I would give him this like philosophical response. And he was like, "Have you thought about this?" And then we just walk away. And then we just started having those connections. And then I was hired as an assistant principal. So, going back to just those experiences and again, Mark showed belief in me. Keith Bell showed belief in me. Sherry Dunlap showed belief in me. Superintendent at the time, Greg Morris, they expressed belief in me. And so those things, I think, propelled me to then know and believe that I could be effective as a leader.
Wow.
Yeah.
For me, it was so different. It was just me in the classroom and reaching a very rapid conclusion that I want to lead a school.
Yeah.
Just kind of seeing the results in the classroom with my students and just feeling that I could do this on a larger scale and just putting the process in motion.
Yeah.
And ultimately, there I was. Going to that language that you use, be great.
Yeah.
There's a language that I use called be equity. And I guess a few years ago, I started using this expression that I kind of created in my mind. It's not enough to do equity. You must be equity. Right. And I kept saying it. And I said the distinction between the two, doing equity is the action, the practice of equity in a classroom, in a school, in a district, whatever it is. But being equity is an attitude. It's a mindset. It's a disposition, right? So I'm saying here, there's a distinction between you doing it versus you being it. So as I thought about that and juxtaposed it with what you say all the time in terms of be great, my first question to you is, what does it mean to be great? And I want you to give me that without the acronym, right? Because I'm gonna get to that, right? So without the acronym, what does that mean to be great? And how does an AP go about, an assistant principal or principal, go about being great?
No one's ever asked me that question that way. So that in of itself is a powerful question.
Appreciate that.
So what does it mean to be great without the acronym? That simply means showing up as yourself, your best self, every single day with intention. You have to be intentional at how you're going to show up. Oftentimes we think about circumstances and situations that then we react to that determines how we show up. Angry parent, frustrated student, staff member complaining, whatever will then determine how we show up. And we may get up thinking negative thoughts from the jump. So being great just means showing up your best self with intention every day, in spite of the circumstances around you. That's what it means.
Showing up your best self in spite of.
In spite of,
right, your best self. And I want you all out there to hear me. And by the way, I appreciate you, Donna, hitting those folks up. Hit that share button for me, somebody. Hit that retweet button for me, somebody. Showing up as your best self.
Yeah.
This despite the circumstances out here. So you have a Be Great is actually an acronym.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get the generic first, but let's go into that acronym. What does that mean? BEGREAT.
Yeah. So be great. Those are 5 principles that I aspire to live by. And I say aspire because I'm not perfect in those. But those principles are belief that guide behavior. Those are values, beliefs, like things that guide you. So it's an acronym that means be grateful, be relational, be enthusiastic, be authentic, and be teachable. So grateful, relational, enthusiastic, authentic, and teachable. Those all require intentional actions and a mindset, a disposition, as you pointed. And leadership is not about position; it's about disposition. Eric, I got that from Eric Schenniger. So thinking about the disposition of, and let's forget the title. All right, AP, principal, director. Forget the title. Forget the title. What do you want to do in your day to day as a leader? You can be a leader in the classroom. You're a leader on the field. You're a leader on the playground. You're a leader because you're an adult working with kids. That's leadership. You also see some of these things in student leaders as well. So be great simply means, again, you be grateful, meaning you recognize and are appreciative of the tangible and intangible things that you receive every single day. Relational is all about those connections with other people, but also, and we forget about this, the relationship with ourselves. In education, we sometimes forget about ourselves, and then we wonder why we're burned out. And that was a huge topic last week, is burnout. Or are you even on fire to begin with to be burned out?
Yes,
Like
sir.
that was powerful. And then enthusiastic. I like that one because we typically think about enthusiasm as like an outwardly expression of emotion. And that's what I first thought as well. But if you think about the root of the word is entheos. And entheos in Latin stands for God inspired. So enthusiasm, while it shows itself with emotion is a swelling. Like motivation, and that's a swelling. It goes up and it goes down depending on the time of the day, the moment, whatnot. But purpose, that's something different. That's what drives you. And then the A is authenticity, is like being your genuine self. And that takes a lot of work to be able to do. But being authentic, you also have to also embrace the reality of having to be flexible, flexing to other people's communication style, other people's situation, be socially aware, be self-aware, and then manage those relationships. And then the final piece is being teachable, meaning willing to be a student ongoing. You bring those things together, those 5 principles together, and do them well, you can't help but to be successful.
You know that all of them are powerful, but that last one,
Yeah,
being teachable,
mm-hmm.
man. I mean, we could do a whole session on that.
Oh,
Listen, we could do a whole session on being teachable, because it's it's just like in the sports world. Are you coachable?
Yeah,
They're great athletes out here, but they're not always coachable. They're
they
not.
think they know it all already.
They think they know it all.
You can't do anything with somebody who thinks they already know it all.
Say it again.
Doesn't matter. You can't. There's nothing you can do about that.
Can't do it. And see, like I'm so comfortable in my skin that I don't have to be the smartest person anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's including during my principal years when I was a principal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with the fact that there are people on my staff who are much more brilliant than I am. Right. I'm good with that. I'm not hired to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
I'm hired to lead.
Yeah.
Right. So therefore, I'm going to recognize I don't even want to call them shortcomings, just things I don't know. And I'm going to read. Right. I'm going to read. I want to be teachable. I want to be learnable. I want to be coachable. I'm hollering at somebody in this audience, and I'm asking you the question with the mirror up. Are you teachable?
Yeah.
Are you coachable?
Mm-hmm.
Are you learnable? Or are you at a, which is, I think I made that word up, or are you someone that feels like I know everything. I don't need to learn anything else. I already know it all. Right. So I love that T. Let's keep moving.
Yep.
In reading, and let me put the book on the screen. This is one of them. This a lot of pages in here.
Yeah, that's not a quick read. You're not gonna sit and read that all night. No.
Yeah, man. See, I keep them thin, right? So leading schools in disruptive times. Dwight Carter's the co-author of this book, and I enjoy reading a lot of this book. And there's this piece. This is going way back, Dwight. It says I was intrigued by that story of you not making the all-star baseball team at age 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And that whole story of you and your twin brother. I mean, I got into that.
Yeah.
And you felt so to the audience, as a youngster, he was good, but he didn't make the all-star team, and he felt bad about it.
Yeah.
So he felt he should have made the team, but not making the team taught him a valuable lesson, or taught you a valuable lesson throughout life, years later, into your principalship. And the lesson was this. I want you guys to hear me. Participation and performance are not the same thing.
Let
me say it again before you respond. Participation and performance are not the same thing. I want you to expound on that as it relates to the APs and principals out here watching.
Man, yeah, that was a very powerful lesson that I learned. And I shared that with my staff at Gahanna Lincoln High School and also New Albany. And what that means for the AP is this. You have the title, you have the position. What are you doing to perform at the highest level in that position? Because you can show up and do the discipline referrals. You can check off the list. You can do those things you're responsible for. That's just simply participation. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do. So performing is doing what you're supposed to do at an exceptional level, and then some. And then some. That's performing. It doesn't mean you're putting on the show. It just means you're truly trying to make an impact. And so my good friend Steve Bowler puts it this way.
There's Steve.
Yeah, stand tall, Steve. There's a difference between commitment and compliance. Sometimes participation is just you're compliant, meaning the low level is a low level of achievement. That's what's expected. It's low level of achievement. No, not just what's expected. That's just the norm. Performing is going above and beyond that to commitment. And that commitment comes out in your attitude, your actions, your beliefs, your values, and the relationships that you have. And so when I go back to that 8 or 9-year-old experience, I was good. I mean, I was really, really good in my position and on the team. There's a couple other people that was better, but also I assumed just because I was a twin brother and he was the star of the team, that I would ride on his coattails as well to say he made the all-star team, so why don't I? So as an AP, you can't ride on the coattails of your principal. You can lead up and support your principal. You can. But the principal also is going to say, this is how this AP has committed or has performed at a high level to support our goals, visions, values, and our students. And you got to look back and say, okay, I led that. I was a part of that. I supported that. That's performing at a high level. In today's hyper-change world, where we're at a crossroads right now. What are we going to do? There's a lot of conflict, and that conflict comes from those who call themselves informed, those who are misinformed, and those who are uninformed. I think those are the 3 types of people that we have right now in our society: informed, misinformed, and uninformed. And each person believes the other 2 groups are not who they are. So what I mean by that is this: the informed sees other people as misinformed and uninformed. The uninformed sees the other 2 groups as misinformed or uninformed. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, and that creates havoc on school leadership. Yeah. So as an AP, you got to perform during a lot of chaos right now and say, okay, performing at providing stability, but also supporting the change that needs to happen. Yeah. That's performing at a high level.
High level. We put the mirror up for the folks viewing this morning. Hey, folks, when you go to your mirror, what do you see when we make the distinction between participation and performance?
Yeah.
Right. What do you see when you look in your mirror? And see, so much of the work, I say it all the time, I'm saying it today, so much of the work is here, right? It's right here. I keep, I keep this thing with me. I only have one. I don't have like duplicate mirrors, and I have one that I take with me, one because this is the tool, right? So when you use that tool, what do you see when we make that particular distinction? Also, I'm thinking about your forthcoming book, and I've had the privilege of reading the manuscript, and I'm thinking when I was reading it, I thought about my old school North Tech. I had these two words hanging from the ceiling all over the building: the words attitude and the word decision. So attitude, decision. I didn't put them on the walls because the students might not see them. I put them hanging from the ceiling so that you couldn't miss them. So they're walking around the building, 4 stories high, all over the building, attitude, decision juxtaposed next to each other. So, and then I would teach on them all the time over the PA system that you can't maintain a positive attitude, but make decisions that contradict the attitude, right? If you're going to have a positive attitude, then make sure you're making positive decisions along the way.
Right.
So then I read your manuscript, and I see that you say that the two words that we have, the only 2 things that we have absolute control over are our attitudes and our actions. So that said to me, I guess I was on the right page, because when we're talking about decisions, we're talking about actions, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So therefore, I want you to, within the context of the AP and principal leadership, expound on how a leader's attitude can literally determine the outcomes of a school relative to his or her actions. Should I say that again because it was long, or you got it?
No, say that again.
Yeah. Within the context of AP and principal leadership, expound on how a leader's attitude can literally determine the outcomes of a school relative to his or her actions.
Okay. Ken Blanchard says it best. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything. So a leader's attitude can determine who and what people are willing to do. Who are people willing to follow, and what people are willing to do. All by the attitude. Attitude is contagious. So if you get defensive when people bring up ideas, suggestions, or questions, that's going to teach them that's not a safe place. That's not a safe person I can talk to. But on the other hand, if you're going to ask more questions and be more open, an open attitude, an adaptive mindset, people will feel comfortable taking risks, which is what we need. That approach then improves not only their actions, but yours as well. Because then you go into a support role. What do you need? How can I help?
Yeah.
And then they're taking those risks, which then ultimately impacts the students. If you're not open to suggestions and ideas from family and community members, the actions turn into they're not going to support anything that you want to do. They're going to be very critical of anything that's outside of what they typically are used to. Therefore, the climate and culture will be one that is still closed up to the changing times that need to happen. It could be less inclusive. It could be as believing and supporting inequitable practices because that's what we've always done, or we've never done it that way before. And as our dynamics and as our demographics are changing, we're becoming much more diverse, not just in terms of like identity diversity, but also cognitive diversity. So our attitudes and action as a leader, we have to be open, adaptive, and flexible, and show that in our behavior so that other people know that, yes, we are supportive of all students, ideas, suggestions, and new ways of doing things, because the philosophies of schools have to change in order to meet the changing needs of today's kids. The leader's attitude is paramount. I'll give you an example. When I was at New Albany, principal at New Albany, huge blunder, made a huge blunder. We had a staff meeting, and I got real defensive about some data that I got back. You do that in front of the entire staff, that impacts everybody's belief in you as a leader. Everybody. So now your social capital is less than what it was before. My social capital was less than it was before that. So then I had to work twice as hard to rebuild those trusting relationships with staff members. Some gave me a pass and, you know, grace, and like, yeah, he's under a lot of stress and pressure, because it was a high intense, high pressure environment. But others, they all remember that one time. They all remember that one time. And that one time is then triggers their limbic response of fight or flight.
Yeah.
And so that then triggers and determines what they do as a colleague, as a teacher, as an educator for kids. Because if they're not willing to take a risk to try something new, they're going to revert to the things they've always done that may not be effective for all their students, since the dynamics or demographics are changing.
Yeah. So
attitude and actions of the leader, man, it's like, it's just as important as the foundation of relationships and belonging.
Yeah. You know, you all out there in StreamYard land, you probably saw me writing, because you were saying some things, and then Yolanda McKinney said you were dropping bombs, and then she just put the bomb. Matter of fact, let me just put them up here.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, she's from out there in Little Rock, and that's what you were doing, you know. And you said something. I've never heard this term. I don't have a problem admitting what I've never heard before. You said cognitive diversity. Now it's clear what it means, but I've never used that before. I never thought about it that way. You know, but you juxtapose identity diversity with cognitive diversity. And as you said it, you know, I said, man, I got to write this down, because it just makes common sense.
Yeah, it's common sense.
That the leader recognizes, you know, and to use that language, cognitive diversity amongst a staff, and one could even say amongst the young people themselves.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you talked about that staff meeting. And let me holler at everybody out here. We all gonna have one of them meetings. I know I had them. You know, there folks could come on here, and former staff members could come on that thread and say, you daggone right, you had a couple of them meetings, man. But I think that I had them at a time when I knew that I had my staff, so they could tolerate or stomach the aberration, because we know who he is. We know his character. So he's out of character today, where he's screaming and yelling at the staff meeting, right, about whatever it was. But then I have to go back to my office. I want somebody out there to hear me. I still feel bad. I'm not like beating my chest now because I just went off in a staff meeting. Right. Now I got to come down some stairs and go to my mirror, which is right there at the door, the entrance to the office.
Yeah.
And like, what the heck were you thinking?
What were you thinking?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? These are not your biological children.
Right.
These are professional educators.
Grown folks.
Yeah, grown folks, adults.
Yeah.
So somebody out there, I'm glad you brought this up, because somebody might need to hear this, because somebody might be watching a whole lot of Lean on Me, a whole lot of Joe Clark in that film, and think you could go down there and tell your staff, put your hands up.
No.
Right? And you know, and all that kind of stuff, man. You can't do it.
No. That's the quickest way to the exit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You lose your staff.
Loss of credibility.
Yeah. Yeah. It shows, and it gives permission. It shows you can't control your emotions, and it gives permissions for other people to do so.
Yep. And I like, Dr. Melissa Chester. I told you she's the CEO of Black Educators Rock, and she's just quite frankly high powered. So I like how she put a wow on that thing, right? she like cognitive diversity. Wow, So no, that's
And let me expound on that a little bit. I got it from a book that I'm reading now. It's called "Belonging Through a Culture of Dignity." Belonging through a culture of dignity. Well, I always and the reason why it resonated with me is because the district that I currently work in, it's very, very diverse. Very diverse. Staff isn't. Identity-wise, staff identity is very homogeneous. But cognitively, we're across the board. We have people from the business world in terms of our career tech instructors. We have those that have gone through the traditional academic training to become a teacher. We have those that are in their second or third career as an educator. We also have adult workforce development, which is a completely different part of it. We cover 700 square miles, and we have some from our students, or some from rural homogeneous environments. We have upper middle class, middle class. We have urban environments. So we have it all. We have it all. And typically, and again, and then coming on the heels of 2019 and 2020, of everything that we faced throughout this through our country, and are still feeling the ramifications of that, we solely focus on identity diversity. And that is what people look like to determine how diverse we are or we are not.
Yeah.
And then we put almost challenging goals to say we have to diversify our staff. And that ignores the diversity that already exists and shifts all resources, responsibilities, and action to making the staff look diverse.
Yeah.
And that's almost a design for failure. Because if you think about, if you have male and female staff members, that's cognitive diversity. That's also identity diversity. If you have an entire white staff and just say we don't have a diverse staff, you're ignoring skills, talents, beliefs, ideas, suggestions, interests that exist on that staff. You're ignoring that. If you have an entire black staff and you say we need to diversify our staff, you're still ignoring the cognitive skills, beliefs, talents that people bring to the table. Mm. And so it's not a either or, it's a both and.
Yeah, I love that. I love the perspective. It's good stuff. Let me keep moving.
Yep.
I personally, I like to think that I have mastered planning, organization, and time management. Can I get better? Yeah. But I think that I have a handle on it, which allowed me to be the teacher I was, the principal was, and quite frankly, the one-man show as a speaker and consultant, author, and all that. If I wasn't organized, if I didn't plan, if I didn't manage my time as opposed to time managing me, then I don't know that I'd be where I am professionally today. So in looking at your work, you have a very interesting perspective on the to-do list. Because I think that I'm organized all the way down to that's hard to say together, the to-do list. Mm-hmm. But you have an interesting perspective on that in terms of how you label the list, and you say you distinguish the where am I at here? The I have and the I need. No, the I have to and the I need to, versus labeling it as the I get to, mm-hmm. or the I want to. Mm-hmm. So I want you to, because planning and organization, time management are so critical to the effectiveness of a leader, mm-hmm. talk to us about what you mean in that distinction. Again, I have to or I need to versus I get to or I want to.
Yeah, words matter. Words make a huge difference. So if you look at your to-do list, it's like I have to or I need to complete my evaluations. I need to get in the classrooms. I need to take care of these discipline referrals. I need to review the curriculum. I need to do lunch recess. If you do all those I need to things, typically you feel exhausted before you even start, because you feel like there's a strain, and it may go against what you, it may create that sense of overwhelmed and anxiety. When I do, trainings and coaching sessions, or when I'm speaking, I ask people, okay, then over the next 24 hours, write down all the things you have to do. All the things you have to do. And you can just immediately I hear, which already sets their frame. Their frame is, I feel overwhelmed, therefore I am. So they start writing down their list. I mean, they're frantically, or some people already have it. It's like, they're already looking at it. It's like, man. So I'm walking around, I'm looking at people's faces, and I say, okay, take 30 more seconds. And I say, okay, use some words that describe how you feel. Inevitably, it doesn't matter where I am, overwhelmed, anxious, exhausted, tired, annoyed, frustrated, sick. I'm like, wow. I said, all right, those are real. Feelings are real, but feelings aren't fact. So those are real. Okay. What you feel is real. But why do you feel that way? it's so much to do. It's just so overwhelming. Like, I don't know where to begin. I said, all right, now, then I show a different video that shows, the power of words. And I said, okay, take that same list and now put in front of it, I want to complete my evaluations. I get to spend time with students on the playground. I get to have conversations with students in the lunchroom or in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
I get to, so it's something now you're choosing. The first one is it feels oppressive, like you're forced to do those things. By changing the wording, this now goes back to your disposition, your attitude, and your actions.
Yeah.
These are things I get to do as a leader because that's what leadership is. You're doing leadership. You're being a leader. That's what you chose. So you want to get into classrooms. Why? Because it allows teachers to get positive feedback and it builds relationships. You want to go to lunch duty because it's an opportunity to connect with kids, which may lead to fewer discipline referrals because of that relationship. You want to XYZ ABC. Why? Because that's what you signed up to do.
Yeah.
That's leadership. That's leadership. If you don't want to do those things and you're constantly overwhelmed by those things, you got to say, is this what I really want to do? That's what I had to do. If we can be real and think about it, I had to keep looking at how I felt about my to-do list. And I finally came to the decision, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I've exhausted my chapter of building leadership. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't enjoy it anymore because the to-do list is becoming to a point where it feels like I have to do it as opposed to I want to do it. And that was you talking about a real, because that was my identity. I was Dwight Carter, the principal.
Yeah.
Mr. Carter. Everybody knew Mr. Carter as the principal. And then everybody assumed that I was going to ascend to, a superintendency position and ride off in the sunset. So I had to really examine, what are my priorities? How are my practices lined up with that? And what are my relationships like that are closest to me? If all that's in shambles, I need to think about my to-do list. And do I want to do it? Do I need to do it? And so that just, it was a powerful realization. But man, once I made it, it was scary as hell, if I can say that. Because it was so unknown, but I had to work on and still working on being my true authentic self that's aligned to my priorities.
Wow. Listen, I got to go off script now, right? I want to stay right there. I see my guy, Stephen Webb. Man, it's so much. This conversation, Webb, is so relevant to you right now that I wish you were like right in here with us. But here, this is one of my buddies from East Orange, worked with me in East Orange, Jersey for a long time. But first, before I say what I want to say, it's 11:58, folks. I try not to go over 12:30, so you just hang with us because we still got a lot to cover. So hang with us, hit the share button, hit the retweet button. Let me stay with what you just said. I too thought that I was going to be, now obviously I wear the word principal with my name. So but in terms of the work itself, I thought I was going to be Principal Kafele forever, professionally speaking.
Yeah.
And I too thought that the superintendency was somewhere on the horizon for me. But I got to a point where I started kind of looking within myself a little differently and noticing that I was getting older as the superintendents were getting younger. And I knew my experience in the world as an educator. And I too, and I see you out there, Vincent Stallings, that's my dog there, right? We go back to teenage years. We were principal, assistant principal together. That's my dude. He's been on the broadcast, so he knows where I'm going with this. So I got to a point where I said, like you, I don't want this anymore. And I'm sharing, I'm disclosing this to you guys out there in the viewership for this reason. You have to come to grips with yourself in your leadership capacity.
Yeah.
Although 10 years ago you thought you wanted XYZ, life continues to happen. I reached the point. I said, I don't want this anymore. But on the flip side, I did know what I wanted. And guess what, y'all? I've been walking in it for 10 years. I'm literally speaking to you in it right now. So I'm glad that you just said what you said, because I don't think I've ever shared this before. And I think there's someone out there that needs to hear this, that although you were excited about getting this position, it doesn't mean you're going to stay excited. Now, of course, you want to somehow train your mind to keep your enthusiasm, to go back to what I was saying about the energy, excitement, and enthusiasm before earlier in the broadcast. But the bottom line is you might shift.
Yeah.
You might change.
If you're teachable and you're a learner, expect shift to happen. It's going to.
Expect shift to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And you have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
I left my job with no clients. I didn't have clients.
Yeah.
I left my job having to put 3 of my 3 biologicals through college, assuming a health benefits, health insurance bill of over $2,000 a month. And I quit my job, ended my pension. But I didn't want this anymore, because I did not any longer want to take direction from a superintendent, period. So see, those of you out there, you got to come to grips, man. You know, so some of you are not going to be like Dwight and I and going, move in a different direction, but you got to be in tune with what we're saying in this particular discussion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that out.
Yeah. And like I said, it led to the position I have now.
Yeah.
Because had I not done that, what 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't be in the. I have an executive leadership team position with the district, but I took a step back. So let's talk about being teachable and being authentic and letting go my ego. All right, letting go my ego. So I left the principalship in 2018. All right. And when I left, I was going to, again, I was an effectiveness and leadership and effectiveness coach with Dynamics, a group of 2 other people. And we were coaching, teaching, helping people with processes and procedures and whatnot. And did that was doing that for a year. In my mind, contracts are already lined up. Things are already in place. I was going to primarily stay in Central Ohio. But because I was also a coach for the International Center for Leadership and Education, when they found out I was no longer a principal, they started booking me for gigs. California, Kansas, New York, Texas, I was traveling all over the country.
Yeah.
Love
to Jersey to Asbury Park.
Yeah, absolutely. Work with them quite a bit. I love the work I was doing. So I was home more because I didn't have the responsibilities of a principal, but I was also gone more. So how does those 2 things work? Simple. While I didn't work every single day, it doesn't mean I was home every single day. And when I wasn't working, I was home. All right. So the inconsistency had a huge and negative impact on my daughter and my family. Huge impact. So I had to then say, okay, what are your priorities? Because things, like I said, things weren't working out. I was living my best life and professionally, enjoying it, like living in my purpose. Because again, I wanted to teach, so that was happening. But man, it was wreaking havoc at home.
Yeah.
And then, I started thinking about, okay, going back and trying to figure out what it is I want to do. I got somebody called me about a position that opened up at Eastland Career Center. Always been a huge fan of career tech ed. Both schools I was a part of sent students to the career center. And my wife is a career tech graduate. So she was like, oh my God, this is perfect.
Yeah. This
is perfect. So, and I don't know if I've admitted this publicly or not, but I was one of 2 candidates for the principal position. All right. So Dwight, your leadership experience is off the charts, like by far amazing. You just don't have that career tech. And when they said you just don't have that career tech experience, I knew the words that were going to follow. We went with the other candidate. Crushed. Ego. Like, what do you mean I don't get the position? Crushed. Devastated. Devastated. I also knew they had an assistant principal position. So I had to decide, okay, what do you want to do? Are you teachable? Are you willing to learn? I was like, I can do that role because that's just, I mean, I can do that now, not in my sleep, but I've done it for so many years. Like most of my career has been in administration. I was in a classroom for 8 years, 7 or 19 years have been in administration. So I was like, oh, yeah, I can do it. I need to learn career tech. So I was talking to my wife. I said, I'm going to approach him about the assistant principal position. What do you say? Can you do that? It's like, it's not a matter of what I can or can't do. Is what am I willing to do? Do I want to? Do I want to? So they offered me the assistant principal position. I was just like, ugh. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And I went in. First month was hard. Not the job was hard. It was hard for me because I was like, you're not the principal. You look like you failed. You tried to go out on your own, didn't work out. You're not a principal anymore. So people are going to look like, people are going to think something happened. None of that was true, but that's the story. Again, Brene Brown, that's the story I was telling myself. So once I then decided to lean into the role, and I had to go back to, and Sam, my wife brought this up. She said, Dwight, you were happiest professionally when you were an assistant principal. She's like, you were much more enjoyable to be around. You laughed a lot more. You had stronger relationships with students. Like you were just in your element.
Wow.
So I had to think like, man, all right, I don't have I have the skill, I don't have the pressure. I don't have the responsibility. I can lead up. So as I think about my signature strengths, one of my signature strengths is perspective. So it's like, as an assistant principal, I can provide the perspective to help the principal be the best that she can be.
Yeah.
Which then in turn helps the staff be the best they can be, which then trickles down to help the students to be the best they can be. So after the first month and I leaned into it, I was like, oh, this is lovely. I had work-life harmony, still that from my cousin Terrell Carter. I had more work-life harmony. I was home a lot more than I ever have been professionally, and my relationship started to flourish.
Yeah.
So just then, and I had to really think about what is it I want to do. So then doing all those things, we got a new superintendent, and boom, she approached me. You know, we started talking about, you know, the gaps in our district that I'm currently in. She presented an opportunity for a brand new position that was created. It felt like it was just a perfect fit for me. And here I sit now in a new position as director of student support systems, looking at the process because I let go of my ego. I lean into my signature strength, and I really spoke to what is it that I want to do. Like the question was asked, and I answered the question like, I don't want to do building leadership anymore. I want to do this, and here's why.
Yeah.
And you know, God willing, and you know, thank God for it. It's working out. Like I'm flourishing. I'm loving it right now because I can provide support and perspective for a much larger group of people, and then see impact.
And you know, it sounds to me that you're walking in your why, and you're proving that the why evolves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the why. See the why. The why is not static. You know,
No.
it's what it was. It evolves into something else.
Yeah, now I would say how you accomplish your why is flexible.
Yeah.
And it goes back to, again, my why is to positively change lives and impact futures. It has nothing to do with the position.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yes, you're doing it a different way now.
Again, my attitude, my actions, my disposition.
I love it. Hey, y'all, we still in it. Hang in here with us. Let me go to this next one. You know, in your same book, Leading Schools in Disruptive Times, there's a very powerful chapter that I gravitated to. You know, I looked at all the chapters, but this is the one that really got me. And you probably know it's the one on diversity.
Yeah.
It's and you break down. I just want to list these sections, these subsections. Social justice, where you talk about Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. Anti-racist education, the growth of ethnic diversity in America's schools, what educational leaders can do, an open door policy, leading in a climate of fear, let me say that again, leading in a climate of fear, resegregation, a growing racial and poverty gap, racial diversity in middle America, schools to pray or not to pray, protecting gay rights to help students with walking through a hailstorm, restrooms, boys, girls, and genderless, and finally diversifying the teacher force. So with that said, I highlighted something that just wanted to share this quick 2 sentences with the viewers and yourself from your book. And again, let me put it up here. Get it right there. Leading Schools in Disruptive Times. And I'm on page 94, and it says, it's often the administrator's voice that must be heard. Let me say that again. It's often the administrator's voice that must be heard. In dark times, it must be a ray of light that others may follow. Now more than ever, administrators must be visible and plugged in with their students and staff. Now, with that said, my question to you, how can administrators' voice be that ray of light when the spectrum of political thought on any given staff is so diverse? And that goes back to cognitive diversity. In other words, he or she may be a ray of light for some, but a polarizing figure for others. What would you say to that?
Focus on your school's mission, vision, values, and goals. Because it takes out the personal beliefs, personal feelings. Like again, with cognitive diversity, we all have various beliefs on what we think and believe and feel about other people. That's just known. What behaviors do you want to see happen, and consistent behaviors you want to see exist in your building that's best for kids, that support kids? So it's like you have to focus on what is it that we're trying to accomplish as a school? What are our core values? And core values are beliefs that guide behavior. Beliefs about students, beliefs about content, beliefs about education. What are our beliefs that guide behavior? And then what is the data that show that we're making progress or lack thereof? That's how a leader can be a ray of light in a climate of fear and a culture of division. Is focus on what do we value as a school? What are our goals? Like there's got to be alignment on that.
Yeah.
Communicate those things. And then the leader, I'll say the leadership team is modeling, telling positive stories about the work that's happening in their schools every single day. That then shapes the conversation.
I love it. Particularly you talked about them values. What are our core values? Always talk about core values, core, as you said, core goals and core beliefs.
Yeah.
As a school, and one might add core guiding principles, right? And what are they? So I'm with you wholeheartedly. Folks, I got 2 more questions, and then we'll do our rapid fire. But I want to read a couple more passages. Let me go to another one. I found this to be intriguing on page 99 under racial diversity in Middle America. It says, working through issues in ethnic diversity is not confined to urban or suburban schools. School leaders in relatively homogeneous communities must also work diligently to help their students understand the benefits of diversity, right? So with that, when I read that, it reminded me of 2 things. I think I've shared them both on this broadcast, but let me just to shape the question, let me share them again. One was I spoke in a district called Hays, 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 Kansas. And I was probably I know I was the only African-American in the building, but I was probably the only one within many miles. And I did a keynote in the morning for the whole district in this gym. And then I did a breakout with the administration. And then they said they wanted me to do a follow-up keynote with the same staff. So another keynote, just different topic, which is odd. And so I went on and did it. I probably will never do that again in life because I'm drained after one keynote. But anyway, I said to the group, since it was the same group, are there any questions, comments, or concerns from the original keynote? So I'm thinking I'm gonna get some kind of feedback. And the teacher stood up and said, have you ever spoken to a group this white before? So I wasn't ready for that. So I paused and time froze as they laughed, because most of them laughed. And as I stood there by myself, only African American in the room, I'm having a conversation with myself as time, like think about when we see on TV when time just stops and you got the one person. So I'm thinking, how you gonna respond? How you gonna respond? And finally I said, okay, I'm gonna use the keynote as my response. I got nothing else to say to these people. All I'm gonna do is answer her question for the next hour, right? So by the time I finished, there was all this crying in the room, all this hugging me, handshaking me. You know, everybody wanted to apologize to me. I apologize on behalf of the district, on behalf of my colleagues, you know, all that kind of stuff, because I didn't go off. I taught for an hour, but I was that lone black guy amongst about, I think it was about 700 educators in the room, and they were all white, 100%. Maybe there was an Asian here or there, but that was about it. So it made me, so when I read that passage, it made me think of that experience, which I think about a lot. I will be writing a chapter about it in a book one day. But then I also thought about when my mom decided I needed a change of scenery, and I went to a town called Woodbridge, New Jersey, where I grew up in a black city, 100% black. And now we go to Woodbridge, and there's only 5 black students in the entire school. I'm number 5 of a sea of over 2,000 white students. So it was comparable to that experience in Kansas, because there was so much cultural cultural difference, right? And I was being subjected to things that I wasn't subjected to in East Orange. So here's I'm saying all that to say this. With what I read and with what I said, what are some strategies? Because there's somebody out here in this world of our viewers that's in this predicament now, where you may be of a particular racial ethnic group, but let me make it more concrete. You may be black, but you may be teaching or leading in a school where black children are a microscopic minority, or Latino children are of a microscopic minority, or the white children are of a microscopic minority, right? So I'm saying all that to say, so what are some strategies, or a strategy that a leader can use with a staff with a 99%, 95, 96, 7, 8, 9% white student enrollment, for example, but with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% black student enrollment and 100% white teaching staff, toward ensuring that the black students in the building feel that they belong there academically, socially, and emotionally, and that their needs are being met while they're there.
Yeah, that's powerful. So I'll think about it and frame it in terms of your book, Social Justice 50. You spend a lot of time defining equity and inclusion, like a lot, and it's powerful, and it's like understanding the social, emotional, cultural, academic, and embracing those things, those needs of all students, each student. You say each student, not all students, but each student. That's important. And then you break it down and say equity simply is accepting each student as they are, how they are, right?
That's right.
Right. So you can flip that on the staff, accepting each staff member as they are, how they are.
Yeah.
And then use a very simple, very, very simple analogy. Give everyone something to read. Or no, ask a question. How many of you guys wear eyeglasses in order to be able to see effectively? I'm sure you can visually see it, but people raise their hand. Okay, how many of you have contact lenses on? All right. So equality is everybody has 20/20 vision, or the assumption is, so equality is everybody take out your contact lenses and take off your glasses and read the sentence or read this statement, whatever. Like that, and people will go, I can't see, that's not fair. That's equity. Equity is leveling the playing field. You have contacts, you have eyeglasses, because that helps you get to 2020. You need some type of assistance. Then I was asking them about their social identity. Like, who are they as a person? And there's a social identity wheel that you can use, and it has a number of, how identities, race, religion, which are the things you can see, race, ethnicity, gender, orientation, so forth and so on. Then it goes further. In terms of position. Then it goes even further, like family traditions, so forth and so on. Have them complete that and say, okay, how's everyone different? How's everyone the same? And then say, okay, think about your students. What is your student's social identity in relation to our school? And really start to get them to understand that because you have a microscopic minority, it doesn't mean if they don't fit into the culture, then they're not relevant. Is the culture open enough for people to be their authentic selves? And then start asking questions. So short answer, ask the right questions. And that one of the right questions is, do our resources that we rely on every single day reflect each of our students? Ability, disability, race, culture, climate, whatever. It doesn't matter. If not, what can we do to change that? Then start having conversations in small groups. Because my belief is a lot of transformational change happens when in a small group setting, because people feel much more comfortable to dive deep into, using your phrase, looking in the mirror and identifying, I have some shortcomings I need to work on. And then they have an accountability group that they develop. Those small groups will then start leading to impactful change for the students. That's the approach I would take.
Yeah, I love it. And particularly, you talked about my book, but using that word each, because the each matters.
Yeah.
And there's, every now and then I slip up with this word all. And, it's not that all is a bad word, the boogeyman, that type of thing.
Right.
But the individuality gets lost in that word all.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas each, I'm still talking about everyone present.
Yeah.
But I'm focusing on the individual within that larger body of young people. So
at that time, that individual is the most important person to you.
That's right.
At that time.
You got to hear that. At that time, that person is the most
important person to you, because that creates that belonging.
Yeah.
That means what that person is bringing to you, being a staff member or a student, is they're looking for validation, not appraisal that they're right or wrong, but validation in what they're experiencing is happening.
Yeah.
They're looking for acceptance. They're looking for responsiveness, and they're looking for inclusion. Those things create belonging. And at that moment, that person walks away knowing they were seen, heard, valued, and respected. And in respect, which I've learned this over time, is respect is so conditional, man. And today's age is so conditional. And we gotta earn, and we have to earn people's respect. And it's like, I'll respect you when you respect me. It's no longer respecting because of the title or the position. Like, people don't initially respect us as educators anymore. Used to, but not anymore. We gotta just accept that. It's like so respect is so conditioning. It's so conditional. But dignity, that's human. That's a human right. So focus on the dignity part and not necessarily the respect. But anyway, I'm digressing. My whole point is, when you meet people individually, the way you interact with them, they feel respected. Therefore, you build trust, and then you have some social capital that can really move the needle.
Love it. I got one more question, folks, and then I'm gonna go to my BAM impact questions, and then we wrap it up. I'm in the book one more time. I'm on page 105. I love this book. The growing diversity of our enrollments in ethnicity, cultural background, sexual preference, sexual identity, immigrant status reinforces a need to take an even broader look at the diversity needed in the teaching force. For example, pre-K-12 education to reach its full potential, American school leaders should continue to search for ways to have their staff match the diversity of the American population.
Mhm.
When I read that, I thought about, back in my high school principal days, I created a Future Educators of America chapter that I led as opposed to giving it to a teacher to lead. This was my baby as the principal.
Mhm.
And I always say, I say it all the time, my biggest regret leaving my principalship, despite the fact that I said I was ready to move on, my biggest regret is a lot of those young people who were in that club with me are now teachers, and they're at the secondary level.
Mhm.
So I always imagine, I wonder what the school would have looked like, or a school where a principal trains the teachers, starting with when they're freshmen in high school.
Mhm.
They go on through the program, go to college, study education, and then I'm in a position, if there are vacancies, which I'm sure there will be, where I can hire them to work with me. It's like a fantasy. Like, I wonder what that would be,
Mhm.
where I've known you as a baby, so to speak, and now here you are, a productive member of our staff. So I'm asking you to, let me just go with me first. To me, one of the best ways of diversifying staff is to look at who's in our respective schools right now as children,
Mhm.
right? And helping them to develop an interest in education. The only reason I knew about them is because I had the audacity to go on the PA system one day and say, who are all the children in this school, the students in this school, who at least had a fleeting thought that you may want to be a teacher one day? And I couldn't fit them all in my office.
Mm.
I said, oh my God, they were out in the hallway. I said, look here, y'all, hang on. Let's go up to the cafeteria. All of you have thought about becoming a teacher? Yes. Are you willing to be in an after school club? Yes. And we did. Took them to conferences, all sorts of stuff. And a lot of us don't know who's sitting in the room relative to what they want to do later.
Yeah.
Right. Or as a principal, don't know who's in the building relative. So I just said, let me find out who's in this building.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of future teachers sitting in the building, and I had no idea. Right. So
Yeah.
therefore, my position is, hey, superintendents out there who may see this video later or on live, commissioners, whomever you are, the next teachers might be sitting in your 1st through 12th grade classrooms.
Mm.
And you may want to tap into them now, not when they get into college, when they're no longer yours. I flip it over to you. What do you think about how we go about diversifying these schools?
Man, I wish I had thought about that, what you just did. I mean, I don't have a better response to that than what you just said. That's powerful. I mean, that's man, that you can write a book just on that alone.
Yeah.
Because you're taking responsibility, and you're taking responsibility for what you can control, which is your environment and people that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we look at outside factors, like one of the realities is that fewer students of color are going into education, while the demographics of our student body is changing, but also teachers are leading the profession at alarming rates. Just in September, we had 30,000 teachers across the country leave. And so it's like we're at this crossroads now of what stories are current educators telling about our educational system, which sometimes deters the younger generation from wanting to join. So we got to think about that as well. So I'll say what I would do, the first thing I would do is if I'm a building principal, even I'm still in your idea, I'm gonna do that now. It's like, identify what students do we have in our district now that are interested in education. The district that I'm working with now, we actually have one of our labs is teacher professions. It's housed at Gehenna Lincoln High School, and it's for juniors and seniors. So we students, through taking some type of assessment, they can then line up to say, okay, this person really wants to be a teacher. Introduce them to the teacher academy or the teacher lab, and then they go on and become an educator. That's one way of doing it. It's limited because it's only like 50 students that we can do that for. So the bigger question is, how do we be authentic and also positive in how we are modeling the benefits of being an educator.
Yeah,
We have to model
that's right.
positivity, not toxic positivity, but be realistic and model this, what this profession does for me personally, what it does for us locally, what it does for us across the state, what it does for us nationally, as a body of educators to encourage and promote and uh, basically shift and create a vision for young people to go into education in the first place.
Well, you know, when I say I'm on fire, you know, the students saw that every day.
Yeah,
They literally saw my passion for the work. Because even when I got to a point where I wanted to make the transition, they didn't see that.
yeah,
You know, they just saw this fired up principal coming in with this fired up message every morning in terms of my morning message. They knew, and I think that probably was part of the inspiration.
yeah. Yeah, they said I want to be just like that one day.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
bringing that fire, and a lot of them are still in touch with me, which is a blessing.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know your impact when your students who are now full grown adults
yeah,
are still reaching out, inviting you to things, sharing their growing families pictures, or seeking you for advice, or commenting and seeking, like I said, just appreciating the relationship and connection. When you have that as an adult and they're adults, you know you've had a significant impact.
there you go.
Yeah.
Love it, love it. Hey, let's jump on those BAM impact questions real quick. 21 of them. We go real quick. One word answer or one sentence if you can't do it in a word.
Okay.
Here we go. 21 questions. Here we go. Number one, is education on the right path for underserved children?
Getting there.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Absolutely.
Does your work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Yes.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
Same.
Why do you continue to do this work?
Growth.
What fires you up within the work that you do?
Possibilities.
What do you love about the work you do most?
Relationships and growth.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
Paperwork.
Yeah. What has been your greatest victory in this work thus far?
Building a platform that impacts others.
What was your greatest mistake?
Man. Forgetting about myself for a period of time and not taking care of myself and not taking care of my close relationships.
What has been your greatest challenge?
Deciding what I wanted to do, where I wanted to do, and how I was going to do it at a time when I needed to make a change.
Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Yes.
Who inspires you in this work?
Mark White, Keith Bell, Dr. Kim Miller.
What are you reading right now?
I talked about it earlier, Belonging Through a Culture of Dignity. I'm taking a slow read on this one because it's just so excellent.
And the next question may correspond with that. What book do you recommend for our viewers?
I'm going to recommend my book that's up and coming, Be Great, 5 Principles to Improve Your Attitude and Actions as a Educator.
You all heard that. Be Great. It's coming, forthcoming.
March 2022.
March 2022. What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
Good question. I would say what I want to accomplish is true systems that remove barriers. Haven't accomplished that yet, but we're working on it.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
Happy, not satisfied, because there's still so much work to do.
What could you say to a viewer out there who continues to face closed doors?
Ask why. Is it you, as the system? If it's you, develop skill. If it's a system, start figuring out how to go around it.
What could you say to a viewer out there who's lost their fire?
I would ask a question. What does that fire look like? And did you actually have it?
And lastly, if Dwight Carter was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Learner.
Learner. Wow. Powerful stuff. Hey, Dwight, Principal Carter, want to thank you for being here with us today. It certainly won't be the last time, but I want to thank you for being here. This was a dynamite discussion. As I tell everybody, the most views are after the live. People go heavy on all 4 platforms throughout the week, the months, and all that kind of stuff. So, a lot of people are going to be blessed with this that don't even know it yet, once they see it. But for the folks who are on here, the accolades throughout, just people saying great things, give you guys, give Dwight some fire if you felt there was fire here to receive. Put it in the chats or a thumbs up or whatever your favorite emoji might be. But once again, appreciate you. Let me close us. Oh, here comes the fire now. Let me close us out, and I'm gonna throw you backstage for a hot second, and we wrap offline.
Appreciate you, man.
But those of you throwing those fire emojis, he'll see you from backstage still. So keep that fire coming, man. Keep it warm, because all that 60s and 70s Jersey weather up here is gone now. We back to what it's supposed to be in December, right? I'll be with you in a second, Dwight.
Yep.
Oh, no, Dwight. Tell them how to get in touch with you.
Okay, yeah, appreciate that. So you can reach me. You can follow me on Twitter at Dwight_Carter. IG is Dwight Carter. Facebook is Mr. Dwight Carter. LinkedIn as well is on the screen. Also, I have a blog at Dwight Carter at DwightCarter.edgyblogs.org. So,
and I just put everything on the banner on the bottom. So folks do know he's a professional speaker consultant. So if you want to bring Dwight to your school, your conference, your district, whatever it is, you see the information there, right? Just reach out to him. If you didn't get it now, you know it's all recorded, so you can just see it later on. It's at the bottom of the screen in the beginning of the broadcast and at the end. But again, he's a speaker, he's a consultant, he's an author. So you want to get in touch with him on those various different levels. All right, let me throw you in the back there for a second. Hey, folks, appreciate you being here again. We got one more Saturday for 2021. Like I told you in the beginning, those of you who logged on late, I'm going to be on Christmas Day. Even if I'm by myself, I will be on because it's the last Saturday of the year, and there's no way in the world I'm going to take off on the last Saturday of the year. I'm going to be on, right? As the young people say, on and popping, right? So I'll be here. So at the same time, and then on New Year's Day, I will also be here. That's the first. New Year's Day is the first Saturday of the month, so I'm gonna be here. So I'm going solo next week on during Christmas, and then I'm going solo again on New Year's. So please mark your calendars and join me if you can. I got a lot to say. I got my end of the year solo message. And then I got the beginning of the year solo message to start the year. So tell a friend, tell a colleague. Again, I'll be keynoting the ASCD Virtual Leadership Summit, January the 18th. Go to ascd.org and register. Don't forget to check out Sean Hurt every Saturday morning at 10 on Facebook Live. Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Tammy Taylor at 10:30. Unlock the Middle on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock Facebook Live. And the Village Leadership Group with Dr. Roz Gaskins and Coach Williams on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 on Facebook Live. Don't forget about, I got 8 books, but, I'll just show you these 2 for time's sake. Make sure you get them both. They coincide with this academy, but they're also great holiday gifts. So these 2, along with all my others, just go to Amazon and put my name in the search bar. And all the books that I've written for ASCD will pop up, or you can go to ascd.org, or you can go to principalkafele.com. But they make for great holiday gifts. December 29, myself and Dr. Chika Akua, we're doing a special broadcast because that's going to be in the midst of Kwanzaa. It'll be the 4th day of Kwanzaa. So Dr. Chika Akua and I will do a broadcast called The Correlation Between the 7 Principles of Kwanzaa and Black Student Achievement. In Kiswahili, the Nguzo Saba and Black Student Achievement. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be a conversation. It's not an interview. It's going to be a conversation. And I talked to Chika the other day, we just going to let it rip. If it takes us 2 hours to exhaust that topic, so be it. We're not going to do a lot of announcements and all that kind of stuff. So don't time it to come on when I'm finished. At 11 o'clock, we going, right? That's December 29. Mark your calendar, 11 o'clock a.m., not 10:55, but 11 o'clock a.m. You can watch it on my Facebook my Facebook personal page, my virtual AP Leadership Academy page, Facebook, my Twitter page, but not my virtual Leadership Academy YouTube channel. I won't be on there. I'll be on a different channel called Principal Kafele Speaks, right? So once again, Principal Kafele Speaks. Do me a favor. Go to that channel now and subscribe to it, right? Principal Kafele Speaks to Educators is the full name on YouTube. So I'm going to be broadcasting it on that channel, not my virtual AP Leadership Academy channel, because this is not the virtual AP Leadership Academy. So go on and subscribe to that channel. Maybe a lot of you don't know I have that channel. That's altogether different content, and maybe you might want to check that out. A lot of good content on that channel. So subscribe to it. Principal Kafele Speaks to Educators. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Look at where the world is now, folks. I'm not going to sit here and advocate for vaccines because I know people get mad at that. All I'm going to say is I took it, right? I took the first one, Moderna. I took the second one, Moderna, and I'm boosted up. Moderna, right? That's the slang people using these days. I'm boosted up, right? Let me disclose something to you real quick since y'all still here. I listen to a lot of stuff that's not education when I'm walking, in addition to education. And Fat Joe, the rapper, has a has some of you that know rap, the young heads watching, he's got this Instagram show. So I listen to it because I just want to keep up with the world that's younger than me, right? So I listen to it when I'm out there doing my walking. And I listen to Fat Joe, the way he describes the way he's boosted up. Now, I can't do that on here, right? I can't use that language. But the spirit, I'm seriously boosted up. I'm not playing with that, right? I can't say it like Fat Joe said it, right? But I'm seriously boosted up. Now, I'm not advocating for you. You do what you got to do. But my point is, the world is what it is right now. We're not in a good place, y'all. We're not in a good place. So take care of yourself. Your diet matters. Your exercise matters. And at some point, hopefully we get to a point where we don't have to go outside wearing these masks. Some of us we know don't wear them anyway, but I do. I'm masked up and I'm boosted up, right? That's it. Maybe that's my slogan. I'm masked up, I'm boosted up. Maybe I should write me a little rap song called I'm Masked Up, I'm Boosted Up. So with that said, I will see you guys solo next Saturday at 10:55. I'm going hard. I'm gonna work up a sweat. I'm going hard. I'm gonna be fiery next Saturday morning as we talk about as I bring this end of the year message, and then I'm bringing the heat on January 1st. I'm gonna work up a sweat. I'm gonna keep my heat off because I know I'm gonna be in here sweating because I got to make sure that folks hear me on these 2 messages coming up, and then I got guests all the way till the end of April, right? Just guess, man. We be ready. But again, I thank Dwight Carter today, man. He brought just what we needed, right? I took notes. He brought just what we needed. So I thank him. So with that said, y'all have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. I forgot to say, I can't leave Dwight without. He hit it out the park, y'all. Dwight Carter hit it out the park. Grand slam. Y'all know that. I see that fire, Yolanda. He hit it out the park. I always got to put the bat up, right? Jefferson County, man. Kentucky, Louisville. They gave me this, man. Where is it at? Look at that there. Jennifer Jones, man. Principal Kafele. That was my contact person out there. She's AP out there in Jefferson County, man. They gave me my own personalized bat, man. Hit it out the park today, Dwight. Appreciate you. So look here, y'all. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I see you guys next Saturday. Be safe out here.